Why do we still have these multiplicity of problems in our country? You gave them the power. The man had 35 seats and he decided he's going to have some terrible headwinds. Come to the Bahamian people as a result of these major national problems having been solved. I can't find no one to give me an answer. Maybe you could call in today and give me the answer. Because it seems as if we're stuck onto what I don't quite understand. I don't know. But you have 35 seats. And yet you are not able, as far as I can see, to make a massive difference in the way the country is being governed, in the issues that affect the Bahamian people. Now let's look at the current grouping. The current grouping has 32 seats in the House of Assembly. The other entity has 7. So 32, 7. You see the wide disparity the electorate has done to itself? You give these political parties massive number of seats. For what purpose? To do what? Just to collect money for themselves? Just to play around with your mind? You know how many people have lived and died over these last 2 administrations, the past one and this one? Hoping for a better day, hoping to see things change, and they didn't see it. Do you know how many today are crying and complaining? But you give the fellas 32 seats. How much more you got to give them? You got to give them 35. Eh? Well, someone had 35 and did nothing with it. The highest number of seats ever in our political history. The highest number of seats. 35 out of 39. Come on, man. Now this crew, 32 out of 39. What is the difference? Obviously, something is wrong with that. What are we doing, electorate? What are we doing in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas? Something must be wrong with that. They can't say there was anything in the way to stop them. Even with this current administration, what's in the way to block them? They have all the power in the Senate, have all the power in the House of Assembly. So what? And the cabinet, well, that's a given. So what is wrong, Bahamians? Something has to be wrong somewhere. 35, then 32. And yet still, we're having all kind of problems. You see the murder rate now in this country, 81 plus. You see the high cost of living. I didn't get to hear President Biden's speech last night. I probably fell asleep. I don't know what happened. But I was knocked out. I wanted to hear what he had to say. I'm going to get a copy of the tape. And I'm going to listen to it. And I'm going to get it in print so I can read it and see what he had to say, just as I did with Donald Trump when he gave his speech. I listened to the whole thing. It's good to hear these things for yourself rather than someone having to tell you this is what the man said and then twist it and you don't get any results at all. That doesn't make any sense. Bahamians, we need to look at the quality of the people we're sending to do our national affairs. You people aren't even thinking about that. So obviously something is wrong. If you give one party 35 seats and all you got is a multiplicity of problems, then you give the next party 32. And all you have is a multiplicity of problems, Bahamians. That's why I asked the question, what major national problems have been solved over these two administrations? Do you have any evidence of that? Do you see it? Are you feeling it? And let's look at the constituencies. What major constituency problems have been solved by the representative of those constituents? And here the clear-cut benefit is, what is the purpose of a government? What is the purpose of a parliamentary representative? Are we getting parliamentary representation? Mr. Biden said democracy is under attack. Is it under attack in the Bahamas? I haven't gotten any questions on that yesterday. I mean, Bahamians, where are you? Are you lost? Are you not thinking, Bahamians? Are you getting parliamentary democracy? True parliamentary democracy. Is the government of the Bahamas operating in a way for your benefit, for your advancement, for your improvement? And you have to tell me what major national problems are being solved. Because see, if that ain't happening, what's the point of having a government? What's the point? We're just wasting time. Billions of dollars have been spent. And you can't show any major national problems having been solved. To say these are the major national problems, these are the clear-cut benefits we're getting. It's the same thing for the constituencies. You gave them all this power, all this authority. Billions of dollars passed through their hands. And yet still we're in a far worse state than we were before. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please. Caller, you there?
Brother Sid.
Yeah, what you saying?
Hey.
Go ahead.
Brother Sid.
Yeah, go ahead, caller.
Don't go that way with the high food costs.
So what again?
1 egg, a dozen eggs, $4.99. You hear me?
Yeah, okay. $4.99 for a dozen eggs.
$4.99. I didn't tell them. I said I ain't come to buy the eggs and the chicken them also.
Right. You didn't come to buy them.
I just come for the egg.
For the egg, yes.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Now they get to the extent when you go to these major stores now to buy your food.
Yes.
They put the food on scale now.
Oh, okay.
So.
You mean this is cooked food or?
Cooked food.
Oh, okay.
They put the food on scale.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So what they do, they give you plenty rice and little meat.
Oh, they like pack you down with plenty rice. You got to watch that rice now.
And you end up paying $15, $12 for a bowl of rice and less meat.
Yes, okay.
But no government solved that problem.
You're talking about the cost of high living, right?
I remember when Mr. Dion Folks say that he wrote to bind them to find out why they charging these late fee and all these fees and stuff like that. And this was over about, must be 12 years ago. And you ain't heard nothing about that yet.
It must be didn't get an answer.
Now Mr. Pentard say, if he win the election, if.
Yeah, but he was in government before.
He was in government before.
So what's the problem? They had
You
35
understand?
seats. His
No,
government had 35 seats. So what the heck is he talking about?
man, these fellas, they really gotta stop. They really gotta stop.
I think the people have to stop it.
Now, Freeport. I heard you ask a gentleman twice. He told you if he catch, if you want to go to Miami, you gotta come through Nassau,
Yeah,
then go to Miami, right?
that's what he said.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
But see, I learned to sit. I'll never come on this radio and give you wrong information. Either speak truth or don't say nothing.
Okay.
He ain't tell you. Yes, you. If you have a police record, you gotta come from Freeport to Nassau to go to Miami. But if
Okay.
you have a visa, you could go from Freeport direct to Miami.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
He explained that to you. All he do tell you, oh, don't you know you got to go from Freeport to Nassau to go to Miami? Why he didn't say one time? Brother said, if I have a visa, I'll have to go. I could go from my Freeport straight to Miami. And if I don't have a visa, only a police record, I'll have to go from Freeport to Nassau, then into Miami. That will bring clarity to make you to understand. Now, again, overseeing this is my last one. Biden gave a good speech last night.
I missed it.
I mean, I wonder what they give him. He ain't stutter. He ain't talk slow. I say, boy, if they could give me some of that, what they give him
Yeah.
to keep him up like that. And the way he said, man, oh, Miss Harris, she can go on with this.
Hmm.
She go on with this. Donald Trump is like a crazy man now. You understand? That other fella who y'all have on 4 o'clock in the Bahamas, who campaigned and said,
They're talking crap.
Trump, 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 fight, fight, fight. Say he campaigning. Say he don't want no racists inside of this. Just the man don't even know Trump. All they are talking about Trump policy. What is Trump policy? I ain't see here but Trump policy yet.
Listen,
All they are talking. Go
caller,
ahead.
the point is the radio personalities, and let me tell you, on all the radio stations that I can get, every single one of them will take 2 to 3 hours just bashing Kamala Harris and her vice president candidate. Nothing has been said why the people should vote for Donald Trump. They haven't presented any policies, any things that he intends to do as president of the United States. And anytime when you hear him speak, he speaks very disparagingly about Kamala Harris. He speaks very badly about the vice president candidate. He has nothing decent to say about them. Them funny things, what he say on the air, I can't say them on this radio station because it's not allowed. But the point is, he always attacks people's character. He himself hasn't told us what he intends to do as president.
Right.
So every time when you hear him open his stupid mouth, he's always attacking someone's character. That's not the way you win an election. Well, he sees a big defeat coming for him in November. He sees that. So now what they're doing is they're saying that the Democratic Party is communist. The Democratic Party has bought out the media. Mind, these are people of the media. They say they got millions of listeners. Go and get your millions of listeners and tell them bring more millions and bring them for Donald Trump. Because every last one of them is a supporter of Donald Trump. And you have show after show after show, and they just keep bashing Kamala Harris and her vice president candidate. That's all they do.
I heard to your local pastor woman last night on the television.
Oh, I didn't see
saying
that.
To your local woman pastor, saying, but what God say about this and that and the next thing. I mean, these people like to use God's name,
Yes.
and God don't be saying nothing to these people them. And they say they wouldn't vote for Ms. Harris because she put law down to the transgender and she to the homosexual and all of that. I don't, and you got them all right here in the Bahamas.
And they ain't saying nothing about them, eh?
They ain't saying nothing about that.
Okay.
I say to myself, if a transgender come in one of their church, which and I don't believe in woman pastor anyway, but if a transgender come in one of their church, how will they deal with that?
Good question.
You have to still preach the same, the word of God. Don't change for
It doesn't
nobody.
change for no one. Yes.
Don't
That's
change for
correct.
nobody. You still have to
Yes.
preach what the word of God say.
Yes.
Now, if they won't come use, the transgender one use the female bathroom, you tell them, no, the law of the church, you got to go in the man bathroom.
You're right about
And then
that.
as simple as that, you make up
Yes.
your own laws. You see, the laws only there to protect those people, and they shouldn't oppose what they believe in on you.
Right.
But then again, somebody have to make up a law for something. Carmelita, she married, so I guess so she believe in husband and wife.
But
See what I'm saying?
what I've noticed is that the Republicans are blaming these two particular personalities for every single problem in the United States of America. You get killed in Miami, they blame you. They blame Kamala Harris for that.
Right.
You get killed in California, or there's a riot somewhere, or somebody does something stupid and foolish, they blame Kamala Harris for that. This is the most. Anyhow, I almost said the wrong word.
That's right.
But I just had to pull back quickly. But the
Did
point, the point
you saw
is,
the video last night?
pardon?
Did you saw the video last night? What with one of the ANB out someplace out in the Western District, whereby these two Canadians were renting from this man,
Yes.
this white man, and some scraffle or something happened anyway. But I believe when the one that I believe who was in khaki, the white woman slap him up. But I'm glad he hold his composure because
He didn't
he
arrest
made
him?
maybe do a damage to her, and then that
He
would be
didn't.
another
Did he?
big problem.
Did he? No. He has a right to defend himself. Did he arrest the
Yeah,
woman?
yeah. That's true. He have a right, but
How would he react if it was a Bahamian person who slapped him up?
boy, that's a different coin altogether.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that
you're
should
right.
tell you something about our police force, right? That should tell you something about our police force.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Boy, look here. Said as much as I don't know what to say, but anyway, I've been on a little while. But
Yeah, I let you
thanks,
speak.
eh?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for calling.
Okay.
Okay, let me introduce my special guest today because I know he wants to say something. I always tell him I'll talk till the man come back, but he don't listen to me. Brother Hyler, thank you for coming and welcome to Global Radio 99.5.
Good day, Professor, and good day, Bahamas. Good day, everyone. Mr. Producer, this is the best studio in the Bahamas,
You better believe it
the
is.
best radio station in the Bahamas.
Child, please. And you got freedom of
yeah,
expression.
Freedom of expression, Article 21.
I had to pull back quickly because I
You almost
boy,
say which,
I must. Boy, it's a good thing I can control myself.
Professor. You know,
I just had to smile. Oh, you know.
the only thing I could say on what y'all were talking about
Yes.
is, whatever happens in the U.S. Has great impact on the Bahamas.
Yes.
So, of course, we are watching the elections in the U.S. to see what direction that goes in.
Yes.
Now, what I was thinking was that the Bahamas actually has the potential to rise higher than America based on their ideals. See, you were speaking of the two sides, just briefly.
Right, yeah.
The two sides.
Okay.
What are the Democrats bringing?
Yes.
What are the Republicans bringing?
Yes.
Each side has their problems. So Professor, when you speak of Kamala Harris and let's say in a positive light, or the Democratic Party, and when you speak of Donald Trump in a negative light, the listeners out there, they are divided here in the Bahamas.
Yes.
And they are divided in America as well. Now, I don't hear much conversations on, well, how could we improve both of the parties?
Yes.
Because there are flaws in both.
Yeah, they're flawed. Big flaws.
Yeah, there are huge flaws in
National
both.
sin.
Now, what amazes me is to see almost the entire Christian church in America behind Mr. Trump.
That's interesting. Are they?
Well, yes. You only have
Okay.
to turn on the Christian TV. Turn on the Christian TV. If they talk about social or political issues,
Okay.
you would hear many, most, virtually all. And it's to me, I believe it's under the premise of conservatism
Okay.
versus the liberal agenda. So it seems like if you are into godliness or righteousness, or you just want to do what is right, you want to see what is right happening.
Okay.
In America, it seems like you are led towards the Republican Party
Okay.
because they tend to be more conservative. But that don't make them righteous.
That doesn't make them righteous.
And
yeah,
that don't
okay.
make them right. It definitely
And
don't
doesn't
make them right.
Yeah, you're quite right about that. Those
Now-
2 points are clear.
Yeah, because the Bahamas is conservative,
Yes.
but we doing more wickedness than
They
Just-
don't do always do the right thing.
we don't always do the right thing. So
I've seen evidence of that.
I just wanted to say that.
Yes,
And
that's
on
a
the
good point.
on the other side, with the Democratic Party, yeah, they tend to be liberal. They tend to be almost like anything goes. Which that is a flaw that a lot of people see
Yes.
in the Democratic Party. They are pushing the lesbian and gay, the LGBTQ
LGBTQ. And whatever
agenda.
they have. Yeah, that's
And
correct.
they are pushing it, and they're
Yes.
pushing it forcefully.
Yes.
It's not at the back, it's up to the front. So it just leaves you to question.
So what are we
you know,
pushing forcefully in the Bahamas to protect the Bahamas?
we are pushing marijuana. That's
Oh,
what we pushing.
marijuana. Oh,
That's what
okay.
our politicians talking about
Oh, they're
right now.
talking about
With all of
marijuana.
our problems, they
Yes.
debating marijuana. They're not debating land. They're not debating the high cost of living.
Yes.
They're not debating business for, let's say, Bahamianization.
Yes.
Business for Bahamians.
Yes.
These are not the conversations that we hear when we listen to our own parliament.
That's right.
We hear arguments over who is in authority in Grand Bahama.
But they ain't got that straightened out either.
They don't seem to know.
Because both sides, according to what I heard from Lady Russell,
Mhm.
both sides have violated the agreement. Now, my team and I are searching this whole thing because there are so many confusing, conflicting statements that have been made
Mhm.
from these various entities, and we got to get the facts before I go down into Grand Bahama. I got to talk to those people down there. The point is, we have to get the facts, hardcore facts.
Mhm.
Some things were done by the government of the Bahamas,
Mhm.
which people are not fully aware of.
Yes.
And we have to know what has been done. When the man can jump up and say someone needs to take an injunction out against the Grand Bahama Port Authority.
Mhm.
And someone also said on Facebook, an injunction ought to be taken out against the government of the Bahamas.
Mhm.
So we have all these conflicting views, and we have to get hardcore evidence.
Well, the thing about it, Professor, I hope you don't mind me saying, see, I'm an invited guest of yours. I'm here, and we are working together. We are of
Yes.
that mindset to collaborate, to
Yes.
work with other people,
That's correct.
regardless of the organization you're part of. We
Yes.
know that the Constitution is being defiled, it is being violated.
Yes,
So
that is correct.
We are like-minded in there are certain things that need to be corrected before this country can move forward.
Of course.
You have to go back to the foundation,
Yes,
back to the root causes of problems.
that is correct.
The reason why I say that is that I'll let the public know. You yourself, even though we're working together, your team is working behind the scenes. You're not just here talking.
That's true.
You're working behind the scenes in the courts.
Yes.
I'm a part of another team, even though we're working together, I am not just out here talking. We are
Yes.
fighting for the future of the Bahamas.
Yes.
And I am also working in the courts, not just talking. So I just wanted to leave that there. Hear the music.
No, but
so
no,
you
no.
take
I
the
hear the
ball,
music.
Professor.
Mr. Producer, just hold on a moment. I
Yes.
got to put this out there now.
Yeah.
There's more than just the court action.
Okay.
Much more has to be done,
That's-
Bahamians. I don't tell them I gave them that word on July the 8th. Don't play around with me. We got to get
Yes.
serious about what it is we have to do. We got to go to a break. This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson, my special guest, Dwayne Hyler. He's here patiently. We'll be back after the break.
From South Beach to Bay Street.
I'm pleased, I really dig your company.
It's your chance to join the discussion of today's issue. Let your voice be heard. Speak your mind and express yourself. Call in and participate at 326-0271 or 326-0272. WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and Global Radio 99.5FM.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. One has to know how to control one's tongue when one in front of these live microphones because you can get yourself in a whole lot of trouble. But I know how to control myself. There are things that could be said and there are things that cannot be said on live radio. But we have some comments from our Facebook audience, and one is saying an injunction need to be taken out against the government of the Bahamas. And let me just say that more action needs to be taken as far as issues in this country are concerned. I believe we have a call on the line. Call you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Professor and to your
Good
guest.
afternoon. Yeah, good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. Yes.
Hi, I just have a contribution. I heard your last caller describing a show that aired last night and the guest speakers who were on it. And I
Yes.
had to chuckle to myself because I watched the very same program.
Oh, you did?
And this particular commentator is of the clergy. And she has some very strong opinions toward Kamala Harris.
Yes.
If you ask me, she has much disdain for her and her very existence and what
Yes,
she
ma'am.
believes in. And she's against her in every way, especially with her stance with the LGBTQ community, with her beliefs and the work she's done with immigration. And I mean, you name it. And she's very, very outspoken. And my thing is, of course, you should be when you are, you are working for the Lord, most
Yes.
definitely. But my whole thing is, and I really hope she hears this message, is that, when you think about the opposite end of the spectrum, the Republican nominee and what he stands for, he's basically a criminal.
Yes,
Let's
ma'am.
let's just say that, and his viewpoints on just the hateful rhetoric. He basically is the voice for those Americans who feel a certain way but don't want to come out and say how they feel.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's why he resonates with them. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm sure she's a proponent of him when you think of from a religious perspective and their conservativeness. But my message to her is simply this: that she takes the energy that she has and she dispenses when she is on this show. If she takes that energy, Professor, and she puts that behind her congregants, and she ensures that there are programs in place through her church, ensuring that, so young girls won't make the choice to have an abortion. They won't put themselves in
ma'am.
that position.
I agree.
And that, and she can help the government by saying, "Hey, listen, we need some solutions about immigration.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Here's my opinion. Here's what I think should happen." And busy herself on committees and things like that.
Yes.
That can change that and change, when you have people of the LGBTQ community, you need to work even harder to
Oh, yes.
win them back from the enemy.
Yes,
And,
ma'am.
that's what you do when you are a disciple of Christ.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
if she takes that energy, Professor, and she uses that in that regard, her community and our country would be so much better, because this lady comes on and listen, she is just, last night she said, I can't say the name, but the host said that the Democratic National Convention is coming on. She said, "I have no interest in watching it." And I'm like, you should have interest in watching it, because you want to hear exactly what they're talking
Well, of
about,
course.
which will give your stance more momentum. But she's filled with such, I have to use the word hate
Yes,
towards
ma'am.
Kamala Harris,
Yes.
that it resonates through her, and her work for the Lord is going to suffer because of her stance. We understand where she's coming from. We feel the same way about such things, abortion rights and immigration and LGBTQ. But the thing of the matter is, if you ensure that we as Bahamians have a strong foundation in Christ,
Yes.
what happens in the United States would not bother us to that point, because
No,
she
it
makes so
wouldn't.
much noise. I'm saying, this woman don't even know you, and you carrying on bad like this on TV, shaming
Exactly.
yourself.
Yes.
We understand you have to take a stand for Christ, yes.
One.
But you win souls. That's not how you change people. Only God can change people, but behaving that way, to me, it's scary. I don't know about anybody else, but when she comes on in particular,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't. Yeah, we have to be forceful for Christ, but what resonates from her towards Kamala Harris, and we understand Kamala Harris, she's very liberal, yes. But America, they don't want their rights infringed upon, and they don't want their capitalist foundation to
Yes.
be eroded away, and that's what they see in
Yes,
certain instances. And so she's saying that it will take any American to vote for Kamala Harris and don't vote. And I'm like, she is the energy professor. If she take that and put that in her community, we would be further ahead.
Well, thank you. And
You're welcome.
I'm calling. Don't go yet. When a person comes out publicly, you would call their name. There's nothing
Pardon?
wrong with that. Once a person
Oh,
is in the
yes,
public,
okay.
once
Yes,
a
that is
person,
true. Yes,
yeah, but I want people to understand that once they're in the public light,
yes,
like how I
yes,
am now, you can
yes.
call the name of the particular
That
personality,
is.
even the show
Prophet
that they
Smith
want.
and Pastor Cooper, they were on last night, and it was the Shanique
Yes,
Miller show that he was referring to. I love watching that show, but it just blows my mind because I'm like, lady, if you take this energy and you make sure your girls in your church they know
exactly.
they who they are and who they are in Christ.
Yes,
They won't
ma'am.
put themselves in a position to need abortion. If
I
people
agree.
know they are, they wouldn't have identity issues. If your people know they are in Christ, whatever they do in the States wouldn't matter here in the Bahamas
No,
because
it wouldn't.
we know who we are. And that's what I'm saying. Yes, I mean, she spends time educating herself about what's happening in the U.S. election. I'm like, take this energy, get on some committees, see what the government is doing to make sure our young people can make good choices, make sure they know who they are rather
Yes.
than coming on TV and just, I mean, anyway, thank you,
Yeah.
Professor. You, I
Thank
give
you.
my thoughts. Thank
Thank you
you.
very much. See, we just help the government too, We tell them when they're wrong constitutionally. The Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and the government of Bahamas is violating that Constitution. We already pointed out to them and showed them article after article after article that they are violating constitutional law. And you're supposed to govern according to that document, not according to scraps of paper what people write foolishness on. But that's what we have in our country. So we have to work on that. I think we have another call on the line. Caller, you live on air. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, we said about the thing.
Hey, what's happening, man?
Yeah, everything good.
Yeah.
But and you got to realize this: woman never don't want an next woman in power like that.
Why is that so?
I don't know why. I mean, only voice you can answer this God.
Oh, okay. All right.
And
Okay.
and the thing with it, even over here, you will never see a woman prime minister over here
Okay.
because it's the woman them who don't want the thing. They don't want. They saying they want equal rights. They say they want to step up. They want women to step up to the top. But they the one who keeping the woman.
But when you look at the situation in Bahamas, look at the University of Bahamas. That's a female college. That ain't no college for the men because it's, loaded with females.
Yeah, because we have more women and we have more women than man, and then the man acting like woman now, so it's even double
Now
now.
that's even give us more problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
So the situation is that they don't want. See, Pamela Harrison, what happened is that she speaking the truth. And see,
Yes.
if you guys realize, Brother Thompson, if you go and run right now, they can find something but you. Even if you buck your toe 20 years ago, they can dig that up.
Okay,
Don't
all
care
right.
who they put in that position. You want to see they was on Biden, they find everything on Biden
Yeah,
and his son and
yes.
everything. Now they going on hot. They going and
They
strap.
do the same. Yeah, that's correct.
So whoever run, woman or man who come in that seat, they're going to dig that up.
Yes.
Automatically going to Google, they're going to do everything on that. So it don't care who it is, but a lot of these pastors and everything, they have all of these transgender and all these things right in their church
That is true, yes.
and serving on the altar.
Okay.
You understand where I come from?
Yeah,
So
I agree.
And man, this make a transgender and all these different things being around from before me and you was born.
Oh,
I
okay.
watch a lot of them arcade, them old movies, and they was before I was born, and they been inside them from the
Okay.
kings and queens time, from the, you know what I mean?
Well, you could go back,
is loving each other, and then
But-
this and that and all that.
but Carl, you could go back all to the days of the Roman Empire.
That's correct. So what these church people them thinking this thing just come around?
No, that's been around for hundreds of years.
See, Pamela she cannot be one-sided. Either you can bring them in or you can bring them in. It's a lot of them over there. I ain't
Yes.
fighting for them or nothing, but it's a lot of them over there. You have to put if you want to survive inside America is made up of many nations. You have to go with you have to go where the tide go.
I think we got a lot of noise there. Mr. Bruce, I don't know. Are you able to hear me? Okay. The caller was knocked off the air. I don't know, but we have this in the background. Okay. All right. Well, the producer said we're still on air. Okay. All right. The caller was making some points and he was cut off, but I guess this matter would have to be resolved one way or the other. But people will have their views, they will have their ideas, they'll have their suggestions, their comments, etc. We ought to listen and listen carefully to what people are saying and then analyze what it is that they're doing. Brother Hyler?
You know, I'm thinking of the scripture where God says, judgment will begin at my house.
Yes.
The biggest beating the world has ever seen is on Christians and Christian leaders and pastors.
Yes.
And I say that as a member of the household of faith.
Yes.
That's coming from the Bible. The Bible, God say, judgment will begin
at the house of God.
At the house of God.
Yeah. Caller, you're live on air. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Yeah, can you speak a little louder? I got this noise in the background here.
Oh, good afternoon, Professor. You can hear me?
Mr. Producer, I can hardly hear. Go ahead, caller.
Good afternoon, Professor.
Oh, I can hear you now. Yeah. Okay.
Good afternoon, Professor. Good afternoon, Bahamas.
Yes, good.
Professor,
Okay.
I call to talk about this marijuana potential. You always talking about this thing. I'm going to say one word before I go on what I was going to say.
Okay.
Anyone ever see an eagle with one wing? I can call the place name because you guys, what would you say on the radio? They have a place on the thing. They call it the glass ceiling. Don't matter who get in, you can push the wicked agenda. Don't matter who get in. Don't matter which one to buy. They play chess while we playing checker. Don't matter who get in. But hey, Professor, I'm gonna say this. I really love the black woman, but and they know we can love the black woman, but just what they do before they get in. And nobody's saying this. They had the woman all around the world promoting LGBT and all kind of things. And they playing chess. They know how we can love the black woman, how we love Obama. They encourage the people. How you gonna be all about pushing gayness and and we say this, Professor, before I go to my question. You could die with kidney problem. You could die with heart problem. You could die with any kind of problem. You can have big money to get out. But if you could just wake up one morning and say, listen, I'm a man, I feel like a girl. Oh, come here, come. We ain't got to worry about nothing. We can fix that for you. Ain't nobody find that funny. No one is find that strange. Nobody is find that suspicious. You could have kidney problem. You on your own. You better say get to know the Christ. Because ain't no one can help you. But if you want to change, we can do that free and nobody is find that suspicious. Let me leave them people things alone. Me say what I want to say. Okay, in the Bahamas, and he is the most worst prime minister. I didn't put it there. Someone put it there. It was on record. He said, listen here. Whenever you see them legalize marijuana, they can't empty. They run out of ideas. I keep myself laughing. I want someone Google that and find out that. Listen to say it one more time. The worst prime minister we ever had in this Bahamas. He said this. I didn't want to give it to him, but you got to give me credit. He said, when you see them legalize marijuana, they run out of ideas. My brothers, you all have a blessed day.
Well, thank you for your contribution, Brother Hyler.
You know, I'm thinking about the lack of love, and I might as well say hate, right? And I'm prepared to debate any leader, political, church leader. If you know that this substance, the majority that is being consumed, is addictive.
Yes.
It has many positive pharmaceutical uses.
Yeah.
I recall seeing a documentary years ago that it was on CNN, and they did like 2 parts. It was on marijuana and the benefits, and at that time it wasn't legalized to the extent that it is in the US right now. It was just coming into Colorado, and one state at a time was legalizing marijuana. What I'm saying is, as I think back on that documentary that I watched, again, this is CNN, and they're showing the benefits on the one side. They're showing, like with epilepsy and eyesight, there are many things that are best treated with marijuana. Right. They have not found equivalent treatments that are as excellent as marijuana. And we are not surprised. Back to the Bible, the other constitution we speak of.
Yes.
God said the leaves of the trees are for the healing of the nation.
That's what the man said.
It's no surprise. So we need it for the healing.
Yes.
Now that other side of it now, recreation, where you're going to see how much of it you can smoke and see if you could leave the earth and get that high where you just float right off and go into an alternate reality.
Yes.
We have so much to fix in this reality, Professor.
Yes, we do.
Why you want to send all our children into a different reality? Why you take the land, you want to give them marijuana and take their land away from them? Somebody taking the land, Professor.
Yes. Oh, yeah. We are losing the land.
Because the land is being lost.
Yes. And land is finite.
I don't hear them.
It doesn't keep expanding. There's only so much to go around and then it stops.
So, are there any people in the public who are starting to feel like they need to go down to Bay Street and push everybody who inside that house out of the house for doing foolishness? Nothing that is the plight of the Bahamian people. You can see them spending days or nights laboring overnight,
Yes.
working things out. Sometimes we look in America when they have a crisis, they working for two. They don't go home.
Yes.
They work out the problem, and
That's right. Yeah, you're right about that.
I've never seen that in the Bahamas.
No, neither have I.
In my time, I've never seen the cost of living is too high. We can't go home. Let's debate the situation.
Let's deal
And
with
let's
that
get
right
to let's
now.
get to the bottom of this.
Right. Yes.
How are we going to cut this cost? Who's the regulator in Grand Bahama? How we can get the light bill down?
Right.
People light bill bigger than their whether it's rent
Mortgage.
or lease mortgage
Yes.
payments.
That's what they're saying.
People say 50, 60, 70% increase. Who used to pay
That's extremely high.
400,
That's
paying
extremely high.
600, 700, 800, and they bring in the bills to show. There's a runaway high expense. But just to deal with the marijuana part of things, you can't love your brothers. You can't love your sisters. Knowing that abusing this thing sends you into marijuana-induced psychosis.
Yeah.
That's the condition. Our institution right now is full of individuals. You can't, there's no room.
No room for anyone else who
There's
may
no
have
room.
that problem.
There's no more room.
So it could very well be that we're creating more problems.
Creating
by
more, it
dealing
very
with
well
this
could be.
issue. Yes.
Professor, I also volunteer in the schools.
Yes, you do.
So now there is a runaway experience with marijuana usage among our school children too.
Children right now. And that
Grade-
was going on for some time.
For some time, but it's
Yeah.
increasing. Grade
It's
6.
increasing now. Yes.
That's what we want. That's why they want to liberate it. So the sixth graders could carry it to school. That's where we headed. Because you legalize it, then you can come back and say, no, will not for the children. What do you mean not for the children? Train up a child in the way that they should go. What are you doing that they shouldn't be doing? Maybe at 16. Marijuana, when consumed at an early age, it slows down brain development.
That's what I understand also.
10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old. It slows down brain development. There's many positive things, but there's many negative. And all these problems we have in the country, y'all taking all the money we paying y'all, going in parliament to discuss marijuana and how you're going to legalize it and liberate it. Where the money going?
That's a good question.
For keeping the roster back so long, the first thing you should do, all the criminals, I don't mean to even say the two in the same sentence, right? I don't mean to say the two in the same sentence. But what I'm saying is the two groups most impacted by marijuana usage are those who have been incarcerated because they were caught with it. The ones who locked up, their lives are greatly impacted.
That's correct.
And then those who, for religious use, the Rastafarians that consume marijuana, you keep them back. They looking over their shoulders. They got to fight to grow 1 or 2 plants or whatever it is they want to grow. If that is what their decision is, you did not even create a pathway for them all these years to say, well, listen, you can import this as a high priest or whatever the case is, how hard was that to do? You can bring in this. You were the only one in your congregation. You can bring this, or you can we'll send somebody out to your farm. You can grow this many plants for this many people. Do not sell it to the rest of the community or whatever the case is. If this is what your culture, this is what your belief, your ideology is, how hard was it for you to make a pathway for them? Now, all of a sudden, you want to talk to everybody.
Yes.
All of a sudden, that the U.S., as you know, Colorado and many other states,
But see, that is the problem with our people. Why is it that we always want to copycat after
copy and
somebody?
follow.
That's not going to be helpful to us as a nation. We are a nation with many islands, right? We're not even looking at our physical environment, the composition of this nation.
Professor, we ain't even growing bananas. We talking about growing
No, we're not
marijuana.
growing- I agree with you. And we have all this sunlight. We have all of these spaces. There are many things we can grow that we're importing. And we're not doing that.
Everything would come into the produce exchange is consumed.
Yes.
Everything we can grow, we can consume.
We consume it, yes.
That's supposed to be a lucrative situation. You don't have proper packing exchanges through the country. You want pack marijuana to sell it?
That's what they say.
So
I just don't understand it.
there's something wrong with us
I don't
then.
understand.
It ain't just something wrong with them. Something
Some-
wrong with us. We don't have a proper farming and distribution system in the Bahamas. Every year you see these clips occasionally. I believe the people should be protesting more, Professor.
Yes.
The clips of either the feed mill is not up and running to help feed the animals.
That's correct. We've had that problem.
Not enough feed coming in
Yes.
to, off and on. It's not a regular
It's
supply.
not regular, yeah.
And it's impacting the farmer's ability to function.
Right.
Then you don't have a regular transport. They have to fend for themselves with the mail boat. Many in the family islands may not have somebody in New Providence that could sell their product. They have to fight to get it to the exchange. I'm just saying there's so many problems. We skip over all of them and
That's
run it
okay.
from, man, they
And
looking,
run into another
they
problem.
trying to make money off of this marijuana, man. That's what I believe. That's my personal view.
Okay.
I believe that's the motivation, money. Next thing you know, we're going to be foreigners applying for licenses, farms all over the place, and you're still going to overlook the Bahamians.
Overlook the Bahamians, yes.
How do I know? Professor, over the next couple of weeks, because I've been studying some of these opportunities.
Yes.
Let me mention one. You see Lutra with the water?
Okay.
A Bahamian created that company. Aqua Design. Sold it out. I could say under pressure. God have it so that I know the person that created that company. So I wouldn't say much more on that. What I'm saying is he didn't receive full support. He created the company to manage water supply, potable drinking water. And he partnered with foreigners, with white persons. He partnered and things were going well. He sold the company out. But that mind, that Bahamian businessman, he's an engineer. He knows what he's doing. He's well skilled. But the opportunity did not last. And I believe right now, the same way a Bahamian created Aqua Design Company is the same way a Bahamian is the perfect person to fix the water problems in Eleuthera. But our leaders don't see it that way.
That's a problem. So what are we sending people to school to learn, to
How-
do things, and yet still we have all these problems here, but we're not utilizing that talent to be able to solve these problems. See, this causes a lot of frustration. This isn't the first
Yes.
time this has happened. I know a particular member in my own family, very strong in aviation. Okay? And yet still the authorities didn't give that particular individual the opportunity to maximize his skills, his talent in a field where he was top notch. Very young person, top notch.
Mhm.
Been where no other Bahamian has ever gone in the
Okay.
field of aviation.
Okay.
And this is the problem that we have. Why are we behaving like this? Why is it that the people who have been given the authority to run this place, you end up mistreating qualified Bahamians
Mhm.
who have worked hard, proven themselves internationally.
Mhm.
And yet when you come here, you got to put up with a lot of foolishness. That doesn't make any sense. This individual wanted to work at home. And there are others I understand who want to be doing the same thing.
Yes, the music is playing.
Oh, I don't have
Sending
my
us to a
headphone.
break.
Okay.
Yes.
Are we going to go to a break? This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network, 99.5 FM. We'll be back after the break.
Express Yourself Live will return right after this.
Everybody
WhatsApp us your concerns on 809-2310. Follow us live on Facebook and Global Radio 99.5fm.com. Express yourself.
This is Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson on the Global Radio Network 99.5 FM. This is a great day to be in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. We're having an interesting discussion. We have some Facebook comments here that we're going to concentrate on. Brother Hyler, go ahead, please.
Yes, we have one commenter saying that we definitely need an injunction against our government because they are always violating our constitutional rights.
Okay. Yes, that's interesting. And people need to recognize that whenever a government goes contrary, there is a course of action you can take. In fact, several courses of action that you can take. But people have to be organized. I always quote Article 24:1. Because you have an interest to protect. If you don't do anything, what you are saying is you do not have an interest to protect. And so the government of the day, whoever it may be, will continue doing what they are doing because they believe that what they're doing, people are satisfied with it because no one does nothing about it. Go ahead.
Another commenter said something similar right here.
Yes.
The reason why these issues of astronomical prices in food stores and utilities like water and light situation, especially on the islands, aren't of importance due to the fact that it doesn't affect leaders and their families directly. I guess they're saying a lot of them can afford generators or whatnot.
Well, that may be so, but the thing is that people need to understand when you are choosing personalities to sit in the House of Assembly and in the Senate, you have to know about the character of these people. Basically, what has been happening, like I spoke earlier in the show, you had one party had 35 seats. Then another party had 32 seats. The current one has 32 seats. So what I'm saying is you have this massive swing of seats to one particular political party, which means they have the authority in their hand to deal with these issues. But yet we do not see anything happening in the sense of these problems being solved. I've been asking the question, but no one has been able to tell me yet what major national problems have been solved by the government of Bahamas. There's nothing blocking them.
No, well, Professor, what they tell us is that when they get in next time.
Oh, next time? Well, what you doing now?
Don't ask me what I'm doing now. You don't see how they talk to the reporters when they ask them?
Yes, they do. So what I'm saying is this is what the people need to understand.
Yes.
We've got to be careful of the persons you send to do your national affairs. Now, how careful have we been? Obviously, in the last two elections, we've seen how the electorate has responded. 35 seats for one, 4 for the other. In the last one, 32 seats for one, 7 seats for the other. So what are we saying? Why is the electorate behaving like that? What's the purpose of that?
Professor, you don't see them suits they's be wearing?
I see them too, yeah.
You don't see the cars they's coming in the neighborhood?
The cars they're driving, yes. These are government cars. They ain't paying for them.
You ever listen to you hear them words, the sweet words they be talking?
Yeah, those words ain't sweet.
But they sound good.
They're bitter.
No, but they sound good though.
Yeah, but it may sound good, but what are the results? Because the people are complaining all the time.
It ain't no results. Professor, it's something called the poverty index, like you know. The poverty index rates the poverty level in a country.
Yes.
Going back 50 years, every 10 years, the poverty is increasing in the Bahamas. That says to me, the more they talk, the poorer we get. That's the reality in the Bahamas.
Yes.
We have the least amount of money or PPP purchasing power parity. We have the least amount of money per person we've ever had in our lives as Bahamian.
Yes.
We are at our poorest state. And it's because of the high cost of living. It's because everything is, like the commenter said, extremely high.
Yes.
The end of that statement, that same statement I was reading earlier, it says, unfortunately, our country, our people of talk and no action. And when there's no action, it shows the government that the people are good with what they are getting.
Okay, that has a lot in it. And so the thing is, we're getting the complaints, but there's no action on the ground by the people to deal with these problems.
Well, it's starting. It's just starting.
Well, let's put it this way then. You see, I think we need to move faster than we're moving now. I think the Bahamian people are moving too slow. Because while we are dithering and dragging our feet, people are dying. That's the problem. We could do much better than we're doing now. Now, we're supposed to be an intelligent people. And I'm not going to doubt the intelligence of the Bahamian people. But we are very slow in dealing with things that affect us. Why? Why is that so?
I don't have the answer for that.
And I don't have it either.
Professor,
That's why I'm asking them.
Well, if anybody out the public can help us, why are we so slow to act?
51 years, man. Come on. How much more time do we need? How much more time?
And we always think in terms of next election. We think in terms of 5-year segments, Professor.
Yes.
We don't like what we're seeing, or we know just what to do next time.
Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense.
And we go back and forth.
You can do something. You can do something today. That's what they don't seem to understand. No one is telling you have to wait for election.
Well, what can they do?
There's a lot they can do. If you understand what your constitution empowers you to do, that doesn't go on hold. That been in effect July the 10th, 1973.
Well, I'm disappointed. Sorry to keep going back to the unions. Well, as soon as I said sorry, I wanted to take it back. No, I'm not sorry. I'm disappointed in how things are going with the unions. Here's what I'm saying, Professor. As a wide public, right? Let's say the problems in the electricity sector, right? In the utility sector. There is a group within the whole public who work in the sector. Managers, workers, those who work directly or indirectly in the sector, subcontractors, What I'm trying to say is they are right in the center of what is happening.
Right.
Or what we could call the epicenter of what is happening.
Yes.
I believe sometimes the sheep, because we are sheep, the Bahamas, the sheep that are out to the extremities in the public, they looking at the sheep what right in the middle of everything. They looking at those sheep.
Yes.
That's your union.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The government pushed them back. When I say push them back, promise them salary increase, or we're gonna sign these agreements.
Okay.
And when they come, the union leaders, when the unions come to say, well, it's time to fulfill what you said.
What you said, yes.
Consistently, they are pushed back.
Okay.
Another time. And then they would go and sit down. And then they would get up and rally up again, take a strike vote, beat on it. Oh, y'all know,
Yes.
We upset, we mad, we go in the newspaper, we can tell on y'all. We go and we get all the reporters around.
We've seen that happen.
With our crocodile tears.
Yes.
And we say, oh, they break their promise. You all see that? They break their promise. They promise us this, and they wouldn't do it. And then we all go home with no money, only lint in our pockets. And we go home and we say nothing. And then we see the foreigner come to town, asks for his. He ain't do no work.
No work at all.
He come asks, well, let me get 60% of this company. Sure, come sit down, let's talk. You're talking to them, but you wouldn't talk to us. That's who we elected.
That's right.
That's the disrespect and the contempt that we endure as a people from our own leaders.
That is correct. Yes, you're quite right about that.
I consider it contempt.
No, but that's what it is.
If you wouldn't even talk to me.
That's what it is.
And then you can say,
it is contempt.
When the ink dry on the deal, I can let you know some things. I have a question today for the Office of the Prime Minister. Is the ink dry on that deal yet?
Don't wait for it to dry.
Is the ink dry yet?
Don't wait for that.
Well, what the union waiting on?
I don't know. They're saying they're in the dark. You have an Electricity Act that has just been passed, 2024. It has some information in there.
Mhm.
That could be a start in the right direction. Okay? Is the government going according to that act? Yes or no? Is the government going according to the Constitution? Yes or no?
The answer is no on all counts.
Okay, all right. Now, what do you do then?
You sit in the dark, I guess, because that's what
Well-
they're doing.
Well, that's what they're doing. They
They
say
sit-
they're in the dark
So that's why the people in the dark, that's why the light getting cut off. That's a
too
rep-
many times.
That's a
many
representation of what it, or metaphoric representation of what is happening. We sitting in the dark literally,
Literally, yes.
and we sitting in the dark figuratively.
Yes.
Yes, in the dark. My Bible tells me men love darkness rather than light
Why?
because their deeds are evil.
Well, that's what man say.
Well, we could leave it right there. The show
Well,
won't-
that's the answer.
we could end the show right there.
You see what I'm saying?
It's some evil going on somewhere.
Has to. Has to. So it's very important that people understand what is going on. And that's why I am saying we have our Constitution to go by. You don't have to break up the place, but there are some things we can do. What we see in the outside in the world, and this is what a lot of people don't seem to understand. Some people had to run for their lives. You know why? Because they're experimenting with democracy. We see that in the Middle East. We see that on the continent of Asia. We see that in Africa. We have something that our mothers and fathers fought so hard for. If they were to get up out of the ground and look at us today, they'll be ashamed of us. And they'll say, what the hell did I fight for you people to be doing this foolishness in 2024? Huh? They'll be ashamed of us. They had guts. They had tenacity. They fought to give us what we have today, and we're allowing all of that hard work to just slip right out of our hands. Like you say, the foreigner come to town. He pulled the chair and he's sitting at the damn table.
He to the table.
Huh?
He to the table.
So how we get like this? These are the things what we need to look at very carefully and ask ourselves some tough questions. Why are we allowing this to happen?
I'm wondering if the union leaders are in on the deal. I'm not accusing nobody of nothing. I'm saying I just wondered if they are in on the deal. Why would your lawyers not discuss no law?
That's a good question.
Why would you not discuss no law? We discussed this before, and some of the listeners probably already heard us discuss this. But I'm just going to say it again for the public's understanding. Maybe it's a month now, but a few weeks ago, we heard concerning our utility company
Yes,
that changes were being made.
that's correct.
We also heard that the union leaders said they have no idea what is going
What is
on.
going on? Yes, they said it.
They said we are in the dark.
We're in the dark.
The IRCA Act says that we would carry out consultation before
Any decision is made.
any decision, before any regulatory changes,
Yes,
before any changes are made.
that's right.
That is what the law says. Before, not after. Consultation before. IRCA also has the responsibility to publish
Publish the information.
the information.
Yes. And also those persons who would have opposing views.
Any opposing views are to be addressed.
They're to be addressed, yes.
None of that took place.
None of it took place. That's correct.
And that's law.
That's in the law, yes.
Statutory law.
Statutory law, yes.
But it was not done.
But you have these foreigners in town, and as I understand, they're in the people's place, right?
Yes.
Giving instructions to
Yes.
employees. Well, what kind of nonsense is this?
Because
Is that a part of the union agreement? This is happening, and that's not a part of the union agreement?
at the core, I agree, and at the core of the matter, the lawyers uttered no law related to the matter.
No, they didn't. All I heard them say about this so-called
Memorandum of understanding.
What the heck that means? There doesn't seem to be that mean to be a memorandum of disunderstanding or misunderstanding.
Misunderstanding is what they should call it.
That's what it needs to be
That's
called.
what it is. A memo of
It
misunderstanding.
can't be no understanding
Right.
because that is not working. Do they understand that?
You shouldn't have been standing on that in the first place. Stand on your constitution
The Constitution is what you stand on.
and any legal statutory law
Law.
that is placed on top of the constitution.
Yes. That is correct.
But they making all kind of mess because they are changing the laws and it is weakening our position,
That's correct.
not strengthening our position.
Yes.
Clearly. You don't make a law and it cause confusion.
What does Article 52.1 say? Parliament may pass laws for the peace,
Order and good governance.
of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Now, see, those three ingredients ought to be in every law that is passed in Parliament. Is that happening? Do you see that on the ground? See, this is why I keep saying to people, what is the purpose of a parliamentary representative? To do what? What we have are party personalities sitting in a parliamentary seat. What benefit is that to the constituent? Are they supposed to give some bags with some books and some paper and some rubber and some pencils and some pens? Or you have the children's haircut and
Right.
they get some little food and a little plate of food here and a little plate of food there, and they have some games and the children have some fun. Is that parliamentary representation? I don't see that in the Constitution. I do not see that in the Constitution. You don't. In fact, Brother Halley, you could do that without even being in Parliament.
Right.
So what that's supposed to mean? I do not see any major improvement in the lives of the people in these black belt, heavily populated black belt areas on the island of Bahamas. I won't talk about the family islands. That's even worse.
Well, I see the opposite happening, Professor. People's lives are becoming worse.
Yes, they are.
You know,
coming
my
worse.
mind is on Chairman Mitchell's constituency. That's how
Yes.
I got to put it. Chairman Mitchell's constituency over in Fox Hill,
Yes.
where the office of the Prime Minister put out a notice, I believe it was 2 Fridays ago,
Yeah.
that they are going to start acquiring land that Bahamians own.
It's interesting that the particular personality didn't give a peep squeak about that.
You mean the vocal minister?
Well, if I know, I've been hearing him talking all kind of foolishness. But he hasn't said anything about this statement that was published, which affects his constituents. And none of the constituents have raised hell about it.
You think you know about it?
That's a foregone conclusion. Maybe he don't know.
Do you think
Maybe he's kept in the dark. And he's the representative for those people.
the
But-
notice said that land will be taken away from those families?
That's what it says.
20 notices went out from the office of the Prime Minister.
Yes.
Make your claim.
That's what it
Make
says.
your claim to this land.
Right.
30 days, I believe it was.
30 days.
Not
yeah.
even 60. 30
days.
days.
Just rushing upon these poor people.
And your land will be taken away. The first parcel of land was 4 acres
Yes.
in Fox Hill. 4 acres. How long this land been in these families? They may owe some taxes. They may, be up on hard times.
But you got some people who owe much more than that.
No, man. People don't owe the government aid.
You stay right there. You got some people who owe millions of dollars. Millions. And they still asking for permission to operate in this country, still have their licenses intact, and say they want to expand their business, leave those tens of millions on the side of the road. Don't worry about that. They ain't got to worry about that. That's a bill they owe.
Mhm.
But yet the government of Bahamas is accommodating these strangers
So,
in the land.
so, Professor, do you think the outcome is going to be that the millions of dollars and the foreigners, you think they're going to get to keep their business going and their property, but the Bahamians who owe are going to lose their land at the hand of the office of the prime minister?
That's an interesting observation, because that's where it's headed.
For the,
Unless
for the same offense.
that's what I'm saying. Yes,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
So it's a different rule for the rich
But it looks that way to me.
and the poor then.
For the stranger, the foreigner,
The
the
foreigner.
alien, the outsider. See,
Okay.
that's what upsets me. When you could come down hard on a little fella on East Street who got one little shop, you want to suspend his license from him because he owe a couple of dollars. I have a problem with that. Whereas you have the stranger, the foreigner, the alien, the outsider owing millions, tens of millions of dollars. And the stranger was right on the radio station talking big as Billy how they want to get these permits
Mhm.
to expand
They're gonna
and
need more.
revamp their business
Mhm.
in the Bahamas while they still owe the taxes millions and millions of dollars. What kind of nonsense is that? But that's what's happening. So you got two sets of rules: one for the stranger, the foreigner, the alien, the outsider,
The wealthy.
and the wealthy, yes,
Mhm. Mhm.
and some other rules for these average citizens living in Foxhill and other places throughout the country. What kind of nonsense is that?
So
And then they say they're acquiring for a public
for
purpose
public
to go
purpose,
give to somebody else.
who are underprivileged.
Well, what kind of crap is that?
Hmm.
What kind of crap is that? See, those are the things that infuriate me.
Hmm.
And these are the things what Bahamian people are not really standing up to. They're just sitting on their backsides doing nothing and are prepared to have all kind of big arguments under the tree, around the water cooler. And it dies there. I tell them I don't like that. I want to put it on the air.
Mhm.
That's where I wanted to go.
Well-
So whoever, hold on,
Mhm.
Adam, whoever wants to talk,
Yeah.
we can talk on the air.
Mhm.
They will hear what Professor has to say. They'll hear what the other fella got to say.
Mhm.
And then they could make up their own mind, not behind no closed doors. I ain't
Okay.
talking to you. I'm not interested in that.
I understand.
My interest is to get to the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
Mm.
I want them to hear what Professor Sidney MacArthur Walter Thompson has to say. And then they could stack it up against the Constitution and against the law and see whether he is accurate or precise. Is he giving false information? Is he giving accurate information? Not what someone say behind closed doors and you know the heck what they said.
Mhm.
The people ain't hear nothing. They don't have no information. Only what someone reported, that is what was said. No. I want it out in the open, live.
Mhm.
The people will be able to hear, put it on their phones, put it on their recording, and then they can discuss it from there. I don't mind that because I know what I'm going to say. And I'm not going to cheat them or deceive them or give them misleading information. I don't play with those things. I've seen too many people die in this country over the last 51 years. Living on the hopes and dreams of some personalities who have misled and deceived them. And the people believed it.
They still believe in them,
And
Professor.
still believe it.
They still
yes,
believe
they
in
still
them.
do. And they're dying while they're believing it.
Mhm.
They say, well, I can't believe it. But it's happening.
It's happening.
It's happening right on them in their face.
The Privy Council said that land theft is abundant in the Bahamas.
That's a major problem.
It says rife everywhere.
That's something we have to look very closely at.
Professor, only a certain amount of people are involved with land documents.
Yes, that's correct.
You say you need a lawyer.
But let me put it like this. You have to be careful who you're dealing with. I can leave that just like that. You got to be careful.
Lawyer, realtor, banker.
Well,
These are all wealthy people.
that's true. I hear the music in the background. I mean, the man tell me I need to shut up. This is Professor Sidney McGarter, Walter Thompson. Callers, you can call in. Don't mind me. I can talk till the man come back.
Especially Foxhill.
But I hear nothing from them people in Vauxhall. Look like they're gone dumb.
Foxhill, please call in Foxhill.
They got plenty to talk about. This is Professor Sidney McCarter, Walter Thompson, my special guest, Dwayne Hyler. We'll be back after the break. creation, but the talent was never utilized to the fullest for the benefit of the Bahamian people. And that's a very sad thing. And a lot of people are complaining about the fact that when they come home, there's nothing for them to do. But there is something we can do about it, Bahamians. Don't just sit and grumble and complain. Sometimes we just keep looking at personalities who got all kinds of weaknesses and shortcomings. What you fool around with them for? You think that's the end of the road? Because the weaknesses of a government, the weaknesses of a particular parliamentarian, well, at least the particular personality is sitting in the parliamentary seat. Let's put it that way. Brother Hyler, go ahead, please.
You know, as you said, Professor, there's this attitude in our government, doesn't matter what party, but our government, those that become powerful, do not seem to empower their fellow man.
That's correct.
See, and the thing about it is, when we gained majority rule, it was the opposite.
Yes.
The people understood their power.
Yes.
They came out in large numbers.
Yes.
Everybody came out.
Yes.
Literally everyone came out of their houses to execute what we will not accept.
Yes.
And when that took place, the establishment fell.
Yes.
As I say that, do you know, I was reading the first article in the Hawks-Bill Creek Agreement.
Okay.
I don't mean to run ahead of you, Professor, because I know you're going to be studying that as well.
Oh, you better believe it.
Because it is also statutory law.
Yeah, that's correct.
On the books.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is, I want to refer to the first article. You would be proud to know, Professor, that in the Hawks-Bill Creek Agreement, it says what they would set out to do by dredging that harbor.
Yes.
And they will accomplish their goals. It says, unless there is protest, any type of uprising, or the people contend. So what they understood is that even though we are forming this is the actual beginning of the agreement.
Yes.
From in the 50s.
Okay.
This isn't the extension that came later. This is the actual original document. What I'm getting at is they acknowledge that we can't do nothing if the people protest.
Yes.
And it's the same today.
Same today. Nothing changed.
That can be upended if it violates the Constitution, if it leaves people disenfranchised.
Yes.
Or what is the language of the Constitution, Professor? Depriving persons of their rights.
Yes. That's correct.
Deprivation. That is what we see today.
Yes.
Frustration, having their lives frustrated. Or
By being deprived.
By being
yes.
deprived.
That's correct. Yeah. That's unconstitutional.
And that's what we see all around the place. So now we are seeing, I am proud of Lewis Yard. Let me just say, down in Lewis Yard, I understand there was a meeting / protest by the concerned, let me get it right, the Coalition of Concerned Citizens.
Okay.
Now, this is not a new fight. Last night, I went back and took a look in some of the archives. From 2010 to 2012, Professor.
Okay.
2012, they appeared in the newspaper. This is Pastor Eddie Victor and others that were in the beginning showing concern. They had problems with high electricity rates, and high back then is astronomical now.
Oh, yes, very much so.
But from 2012, this 12, 13 years of pushing or trying to encourage the government to do the right thing by getting involved.
Has there been enough action? Okay, they've been pushing for 12, 13 years. That's fine. But how are we doing it? It's the how now that becomes important.
I agree.
And why has there been not enough done within that period of time? See, what Bahamian people need to understand. That's why you see I always go to Article 24.1. Do you have any interest to protect? With a lackluster attitude that people have, do you have any real interest to protect for yourself, your children, your grandchildren, and future generations down the road? Are we taking that under consideration? Do we know how serious this problem is in Grand Bahama? It's a national problem.
Definitely.
So we have to fix it. What extent are we prepared to go to get it fixed? That's what we need to ask ourselves. What course of action are we prepared to take? Because there are any number of things, and I'm thinking this is my head right now. People always say, Professor, what is it we can do? There are any number of things you can do today. You ain't got to wait till tomorrow morning. You can do it today and have effective action taken. Are we ready for that? Are we prepared to make that kind of decision and do it for the interest of ourselves and our children and our grandchildren, whatever, out there, to make this place a better place? I know our forefathers did it. And they didn't go and just do it for a couple of hours. No.
Right.
The problems are so huge now,
Right.
You got to go at this full force 24/7. Are we ready for that? You think just making a little bit of noise for 1 or 2 minutes is going to solve anything? Or just have a little demonstration for 30 minutes or an hour? Or let's say at the most 2 hours.
What's so interesting, do you know, Professor, over in Eleuthera,
Yes.
I got two reports. One report, it seemed like in certain settlements, they either used all of their electricity generating power for the main settlements,
Yes.
but then 2 or 3 other settlements were off like the next day.
Yes.
So we got reports that after the Luther protests, everybody got happy because, it's like, oh, it was fixed right away. They acted on it. But then, like Gregory Town, certain other places, like a whole day with no power. So to your point, a protest took place last week.
Yes, they did.
What happened this week? What's going to happen next week?
See, what sometimes you may see people do is throw a little bone out at you.
You mean like
Not
that?
a big one.
Like that 50% off your bill?
A little bone. And people get all excited because of something. No, that was what somebody said. All right? That particular personality made a statement.
Okay.
Now, whether there was action to it, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. All I'm saying is the problems are so monumental now, we got to be organized 24/7. Either we do that or we ain't serious about nothing. We can't be serious. If we're not prepared to be around the clock 24/7, that's how serious conditions are in this country right here, right now. We got to apply Article 24(1) 24/7. It's been in effect from July the 10th, 1973, 12 a.m., and they ain't stopped yet. But we're not using it. The kind of pressure we're going to have to put on, you're going to have to do that 24/7. Are we ready for that? This can't be no 1 day, 2 day. No. We have allowed this thing for 51 years to get to where it is. And you think just a little demonstration is going to solve anything? Ain't going to solve nothing.
Well, they demonstrating down in South Andros also, eh?
Yes, they are. And I can understand why people are doing it. But these things have to be sustained in the long haul.
That's big. All right.
That's what people need to understand. That's how serious conditions are in this country. I was thinking about that the other night. And I said to myself, I look at Article 24(1) again. I say, you know something? For the protection of our interests, our action has to be sustained 24/7. Either you do that or you get nothing. If you don't want nothing, then don't do nothing.
Okay, so Professor, how do you deal with the government strategy, which is to run to the media? The same media who can't get certain questions answered, they run to the media to respond to matters of concern. I'll use the example of the banks.
Okay.
In a
Oh,
particular
yes. Yes.
in
Go ahead.
in a particular newspaper today, Minister Mitchell is saying we may have to deal with banks, and I'm watching that language.
Yeah. What's the language? Yeah.
May
have to. What
we
you mean may have
we
to?
may have to
Yes. I'll say
may
some other things what he said now because I heard it on the air.
may and might
Yeah.
say they have to uh, say intervention may be needed.
Yes.
Now, how high are the fees got to be?
He said there are regulations in place now.
Yeah, but
That's what the man say.
there are regulations in place.
So are those regulations being enforced?
Now, that I don't know.
Okay, but I don't know it either. Okay, we have a call on the line. Caller, you live on here. Maybe this caller could answer some of these questions. Caller, go ahead, please.
Yes, good afternoon to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon.
I'm Pastor Eddie Victor, the president of the Coalition of Concerned Citizens
Yes, sir.
here in Grand Bahama. And well, you know, I'm sure that everyone has heard much about the electricity base rate application of the Grand Bahama Power Company.
Yes.
Yes, we have.
And the challenges that it will have to our economy. The fact of the matter is that our economy has not recovered from Hurricane Dorian and the pandemic, but even prior to the hurricane,
Yes.
Grand Bahama economy has been a seesaw up and down.
That's
Okay.
what I understand. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So for this base rate application to be made at a time in which the economy is in is absolutely unbelievable.
Yes.
And the cost of living here has affected people across this island, and also it's impacting the businesses.
Okay.
You put more pressure on businesses.
Yes.
Businesses have to increase their prices and services in order to be able to survive.
Yes, sir.
Most people in Grand Bahama are just staying above water. The economy is not prospering. We have regressed. Over years, we've actually gone backwards
So
in terms of our economy.
please repeat
So
that.
many different
Please repeat that, Pastor Victor. Are you saying that since Dorian, the economy of Grand Bahama would have gone backwards?
Well, let me bring even more clarity to that. The economy of Grand Bahama has gone backwards. Has gone backwards before Dorian.
That's what he said.
Okay.
Yeah, he said that.
And Dorian and the pandemic
Mhm.
just made things more difficult.
Yes.
Understood.
Okay.
And let me give you just one example of what has happened in this economy. We have approximately about 8 hotels that used to be functioning on this island, that used to be full to capacity, that are either closed or have been demolished
Okay.
on one island.
Wow.
All right. So if you could picture this across the archipelago, you got one island that
Yes.
used to have 8 hotels that are no longer in operation. That gives you a good indication of what the state of the economy is. That's just one area.
Okay.
Let's look at the airport. Grand Bahama used to be the second busiest airport in the Bahamas. Abaco has surpassed them. And I dare say maybe there's some other islands that have surpassed.
Like Eleuthera, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And So the regression in the economy was prior to even all of that. And I believe that one of the um, contributing factors to that has been um, decisions made by a few group of people that affects the cost of living here on the island.
Yes.
Electricity is a major contributor.
Major. Yes.
Okay.
And we are paying the highest base rate electricity. That's the actual charge
Yes.
that is charged to the customer for electricity. We are paying the highest base rate of electricity in the entire body.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
And so our economy, you've been hearing things said and that Grand Bahama is the fastest growing tourist area in the Bahamas or something like that most recently. The fact is that we are gaining lost ground that we lost decades ago.
Okay.
Okay.
And let me just say this: in the late '80s, there were 1 million tourists that came to Grand Bahama Island, but most of those tourists were stopover tourists.
Okay.
They stayed in hotels. They spent money on the economy. And now, most of the tourists coming to the island comes here by cruise ship, one-day visitors.
Okay.
And we are nowhere near that 1 million that we achieved in the late 80s.
Wow.
Wow, that's a big drop.
Yeah.
Heavy drop.
Yeah. That's
Pastor Vic, you said you Pastor Victor?
yes.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah, but
100%.
can you leave your name and number with my producer, please? Because I want to talk with you further.
Okay, yes, sir.
If you don't mind, I mean, if you would leave that, because you're making some very interesting comments, because I need to understand what's happening in Grand Bahama.
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of conflicting views, and I have a team that's working with me to analyze all of this confusion that we hear out of Grand Bahama. And there are people there who understand and who know. In fact, there was a caller yesterday who called me. And this particular individual made some comments off air, and I told him I would get back to him. We need to understand what is going on because there are some things that have been done which have not been made public. We know that for a fact. And there is a lot of misunderstanding because there is no real clarity of information. That is a major problem what we have in this country. People getting hardcore facts, getting the real information where you can make a sound decision and a good judgment. So I'd appreciate if you could just do that for me because I'd like to get in touch with you.
I would most certainly do that.
Yes,
And,
sir.
thank you for the opportunity to.
Yes, thank you very much for your call. Mr. Producer, make sure you get the information
Yes.
for me, please.
Thank you for calling in.
calling in, Pastor.
Yes. Thank you for
Yeah,
calling
okay.
in.
See, I am glad that he called in because, see, you know, I said yesterday, there's so much confusion. And so now we have that team on the ground because when we speak to the issue, we got to get the facts as they are, man.
Mhm.
You can't get this here
Mhm.
and then somebody hiding the information. Then you got a minister of the government telling somebody, say, you know what y'all could do? Someone down there need to take an injunction against
Mhm.
the Grand Bahama Port Authority or the Grand Bahama Power Company.
And I also heard Mr. Pintard saying, well,
Well, he made two contradictory
contradictory
statements. Two
statements
contradictory statements.
in 24 hours.
In 24 hours, yes.
Yes.
And he don't know what he's saying. What are you saying, Mr. Leader of the Opposition?
He said the Port Authority has the power to regulate.
No, I know he said that. Is that true or false?
Well, he later said that the courts can decide that.
Okay, all right. Well, right there, you got a contradiction right there. If they have it, they have it. If they don't have it, or there's confusion or conflict more than one entity is claiming to have it, then the court would have to make a decision.
Mhm.
So obviously there's a problem. There's a serious problem. And see, the thing is, people's lives have been, you heard what the pastor said?
Mhm.
People need to listen carefully to what he said. This is painful for the people of Grand Bahama.
Right. Right.
He didn't say just the people of Freeport, the people of Grand Bahama.
Mhm.
That's the whole island, man.
And Pastor Victor has been in the newspapers, like I said, from 2012 and earlier on the same matter.
He has said that even before Dorian, they
Yeah.
were suffering very heavily.
Hmm.
And I listened to that and I heard that. The economy has been down for a very long time. You talk about these cruise visitors who come spend one day, then they jump back on the boat and go.
Right.
So what's happening there? Something is seriously wrong with that picture.
Definitely.
And it has to be fixed. The lines are open 326-0271, 326-0272, 813-0271. I made sure I got that one this time. 813-0271. The lines are open. Callers, please call in because we're having a very interesting discussion. And particularly people from Grand Bahama and Mr. Hal, you said Fox Hill, right?
We want to hear from Fox Hill.
They ain't say nothing about this land, saying what the government put on there. You know why people are so quiet?
When the land is taken,
Then they can make noise.
they may speak up.
Yeah, but then that don't make no sense.
I have another
You
question.
speak up before
Speak up
the
before.
fella take the land from you.
Now, Professor, what if that's only the beginning? What if Fox Hill is only the beginning?
Now you're asking for problems. You're asking for real problems.
What if
Serious
what if
problem.
they go into every constituency and do the same thing?
I can put a question mark to that one because I may say something out of the way. See, I had to catch myself early in the show. But, one has to exercise caution and restraint. Okay? But I like to get the facts and then I could move ahead with it. Make your closing comment because we have to go off air.
Just quickly, on the front of the newspaper today, they're saying that the status of the Freedom of Information Act remains unknown, Professor.
Okay.
And even though there was a information commissioner and a deputy commissioner
Appointed. Okay.
nothing followed.
We're going to have to
basically.
close
Nothing
right there
followed.
because the man tell me I need to get out of the way. This has been Professor Sidney MacArthur, Walter Thompson. Thank you very much for calling into the show and listening. We'll be back tomorrow between 2 and 4. Have a very pleasant afternoon.